Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Apex Racing TV's coverage of the iRacing IMSA Sportscar Championship here at the Daytona International Speedway here for round number 10. Alongside me tonight is Daniel Leet. Welcome, Daniel, and it looks as though that we've had a quite a solid turnout for tonight's race.
Yeah, good evening, Scott, and all the viewers tuning in. Great turnout of drivers tonight. We had two splits for tonight's race, and looks like we've got a good mix of all three categories. Some good DPI entrants and a good combination of both GT3 and GT.
Yeah, absolutely. Just had a little bit of a technical issue before the start of the stream. Apologies for that, but yeah, just as we are running through qualifying right now, we've still got about 45 seconds left on the clock, so it looks as though that most of the cars have put in qualifying times at the moment, but it looks as though that we've got Robert Vormold at the moment, just putting in a bit of a practice lap at the moment, as he hasn't set in a time, but yeah, it looks as though that everyone else has completed their 2 laps.
Yeah, and up front in DPI, again, class sort of standout. We've seen him week in, week out. Blake Neck up there with a really good second and a half pace advantage over Malik Doy. So Malik, we saw last week, have a really good run, and Blake's still going.
Yeah, absolutely. Just had the qualifying session click over right now. Do you know if it's a long pace lap or if it's a short pace lap here?
No, this one should be a full lap, being one of the earlier circuits on the series on the iRacing calendar. It should be a full lap.
Actually, see that it's down at the bus stop, so I'll just quickly run you through the grid. So Blake Neck puts it on the pole position in the DPI category with 1 minute 36.6. Alongside him is Malik Doy in second, Niels Herman in third, Tobias Beckman in fourth, Robert Vormold in fifth. Julie Pros Abbott rounds out the pole position for the GTE category. Jackson Harlow in seventh, Igor Ogorodnikov in 8th place. Sorry about that, Igor. Govan Kenny in 9th, Timo Kuha running at the top 10. Jose Andrew in 11th, Andrew Langham Service in 12th position. Oliver Spires in 13th. Nico Puranti in 14th, Ross and Cube in 15th, Slaven Korlika in the 16th position, and Jose Borges rounding at the 17th position in GTE field. Brian Lockwood earns himself the pole position in GT3. Kane Halliburton in 19th, Andrea Marchesny in 20th, Charlie Morin in 21st, George Lewis in 22nd, Gio Gogolashvili in 23rd, Vlad Pavlov in 24th, Russell Mead in 25th, Luka Krisafi in 26th, Matt Arnold in 27th, and John Billington running out the field in the 28th position. So with the short pace lap, and looking as though that it's fairly cool in the track conditions, but we'll see how the drivers fare tonight. But the pace car has taken the field, and Blake Neck once the pace car will peel into the pit lane, Blake Neck will be in control of the field. But yeah, what are your expectations tonight, Dan?
Yeah, I think we're going to see some pretty good close racing, especially in the GTLM, GTE categories. I think DPI, with sort of the pace advantage they're going to have when they do start coming up on traffic, knowing what they've sort of seen at the start of the year with the 24 hours of Daytona here, should be able to pick their way through it reasonably comfortably given the speed advantage that they got. But all in all, I think most of the guys will be pretty consistent. I think the big points that are probably going to be worth keeping an eye on are into the bus stop chicane, and then as the guys break down off the oval into turn 1 before they head off to the International Horseshoe.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as you say that, yeah, Black Neck's got a fantastic start over Malik Doy. Looks as though that they're all going to go pretty much single file into turn number 1 for the DPI field. Having a look back at the GTE field, looks as though they're going to go 2 by 2. See that Albert's getting a little bit squeezed out by Keeney, and Susan Harlow's managed to find himself in the lead at the moment. Looks as though that it's been pretty spread out. I see that Jose Borges managed to gain 2 positions in the start, and the GT3 field at the moment, Charlie Moran has done a stellar job at the moment. He's gained 2 positions, as well as Krasafi as well. So some great battles heading out through the first half of this lap. See that Oliver Spies at the moment's getting all sorts of pressure putting on him by Andrew Langham at the moment. See that the BMW M8 against that GT, the GT Ferrari has not been able to put as much pressure as he would have liked to in the bus stop, but they're about to complete lap number 1. Blake Neck has opened up a 1.1 second gap over Malik Doy at the moment. See that Robert Vormwald has fallen down 4 positions and finds himself in 9th place at the moment. But having said that, though, Blake being class of the field at the moment, opened up a 1.3 second gap. See that was that Harriman. Oh, sorry, Malik Doy running a little bit wide, and that will give the place to Harriman, who moves up into 2nd place.
Yeah, I think Malik will just sort of sit back here for a little bit. Obviously, losing that position won't hurt him too bad early on. They got Tobias Beckman not that far behind here, so that little change should be not too bad, but they're going to need to find a little bit more pace to get up back up on the level with Blake, and as you're saying, Robert Vormwald well down in the midst of some GTLM traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just going to have a look at that GT traffic at the moment. See that Keeney's been able to open up this 6/10 gap over Julia Prost Albert at the moment. See that over the past couple of weeks that Keeney's been able to put in some solid performances and take out the class win. So we'll see what he can do tonight. But yeah, the TTL esports driver of Switzerland Harlow getting pretty much all over the back of Albert at the moment. See what he can do. Looks as though he might have a little bit of damage, whether that was contact in the very, very start of the race or potentially under the safety car. But this is he's going to try and have a run around the outside. But I think with the Ferrari in tow of Keeney, he's not going to be able to get the run. But always tries to go around the outside and he makes it. Awesome move there from Harlow to move up into 2nd place. See that there's been a bit of a crash at the back as well. That was about a half a lap ago. See that Halliburton, Gogovalashvili, and N-Cube were involved in that, so we'll see how that will play out over the next couple of laps. I see that N-Cube's fallen back into 22nd position at this time. Apologies while I'm just sorting out some little technical issues at the moment. I should have you back now, Daniel. If you can see anything in the live timing. I'd say, yeah, just looking at this little battle here with Andrew Langham and Timo Kuhar at the moment as well. It's coming up into see whether he can try and go around the outside. Going 2x2 into turn number 1. It's probably not going to make that happen. But yeah, he'll have to try again in the next lap. So yeah, whilst I try and sort out this live timing issue, I'll just have a look back at the GT3 category at the moment. See that Brian Lockwood has still maintained a gap of about half a second over Andrea Marchesny. So yeah, apologies for the little technical issues at the moment. I see that Susan Harlow's going around the outside at the moment for the GTE class lead. Keating on the inside there. Harlow's having to go around the outside, but not able to pull it off. Keating going very, very defensive and managing to hold on the class lead at the moment. But yeah, this battle, I reckon, will be hot pretty much right out through the race. I see that Ogoro-Didnikov has moved up into this 4-car train, but yeah, Harlow's up in the class lead at the moment. It's run a little bit wide, potential little bit of contact there with Keeney. But yeah, Harlow's through. See that Albert's fallen a little bit further back and has run wide onto the exit of the infield there and out onto the oval. That'll promote Ogoro-Didnikov into third position in class.
Yeah, and just watching Kenny here too, he's a lot quicker up through the bus stop on the back of Harlow, trying to move up the outside now, but the guys behind Albert and Bordogovsky, not too far back, they should be able to stay in pretty consistent range here with this.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see whether Keeney can move back up into the first position, but I see that Albert's trying to go around the outside as well, but we'll have to fall back. Also, we got Oliver Spies at the moment. If I can get the camera to work. Putting all sorts of pressure over Jose Miguel Fernandez Andrew at the moment. They were pretty much 3 abreast going into turn 1, but the 17 car of Andrew has opened up just that little bit of a gap.
Yeah, and Timo Kwa hanging around in the back here as well, so could be a change of position as well if Oliver's not too careful on. Run a little bit wide out of the second loop there, or southern loop, and making their way up towards the infield, or back up onto the circuit. So he's a little bit out of sorts at the moment. You see a really good run there on exit. Car's looking pretty good though, not a lot of wheel spin as they make their way back up onto the banking.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going to have a quick look at the weather conditions as we speak. If I can find it. There we go. So we got a ambient temperature of 23 degrees at the present time with a 36% relative humidity and a 16 kilometer an hour wind at the moment. Sorry, apologies. It's an 18 degree ambient and a 23 track. So apologies for that. Misreading that just that little bit a second ago. But yeah, the Ferrari of I think that's Andrew at the moment's getting over. Oh, sorry, he's making that move on the BMW. I think that might have been a slowdown penalty for Andrew. He's fallen a little bit back, but we'll see whether that was a slowdown penalty or whether that was just a small mistake that allowed the two Ferraris to go through.
Yeah, to be able to drop two positions like that, you would expect a slowdown there. We didn't quite see it up on the monitors there what happened, but watching Spears exit turn one as they drop down into the infield there, the car's a little bit unhappy there and unsettled, breaking into a little bit of wheel spin. So we just have to start managing that, maybe have a little bit of a play with the traction control or the limited traction control that these cars do have available to.
Yeah, certainly. I noticed that this was a early time of day start for the servers. So Oliver getting all sorts out of shape on the exit of the infield there and back out onto the oval. But is managing to hold the gap at the moment. This is so that Kuha and Andrew will be trying to save some fuel for this pit stop here.
Yeah, we're almost coming up into that the start of that range where we do traditionally see a lot of stops coming in. So currently nearly 15 minutes on the clock. So anywhere from now in the next 10 minutes, we're likely to start seeing guys coming in for those.
Yeah, certainly. Just looking back at the GT3 field at the moment, this has been a very, very close battle throughout all of the race, which has been great to see. It's not very often that we see a very, very close GT3 field at the moment, but yeah, I see that Lockwood, Marchesny, and Morin at the moment all within about a second of each other.
Yeah, exactly. Andrea sitting in second there, going to have a really nice toe. Advantage with these cars, you see them close right up on the brakes, having the ABS on them, they can go in quite a lot deeper. But as you say, traditionally we've seen some pretty wide open grouping, and especially in the GT3 category. So I think Daytona with the highest speeds and the ovals will help sort of keep that reasonably compressed, and the few big stops that they do have aren't really going to shake the field out too much. So look for these guys to probably continue this battle up through the stops, but maybe even see how it all unfolds once those stops do take effect.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see that the Ted car of Marchesny is going in very, very deep into the that little right hand hairpin there, but got a little bit out of shape on that inside curb there. But that wide line that Lockwood has taken, I reckon that's pretty much evened out the gap at this time. To see that the lap traffic, Morin's getting overtaken by Corluka, making up a position overall, but sadly he's about 10 seconds back from the next GTE car in class.
Yeah, a little different to what we've seen, especially in the last couple of races from Corluka. Normally he's been up in with it and fighting for the back or end of the podium position. So not probably the best night that he's had out there tonight. Looks like a couple of incidents and off tracks so far for him. So he'll fight through. The car should be reasonably quick, provided no major damage, and he should get back up, back into the battle.
Yeah, absolutely. That overtake from Corluka's pretty much opened that second to third battle in GT3 at this time. So it looks as though that it's going to be a two-horse race at the moment for the lead. But whether Morin can catch up, certainly judging by his early pace, he's able to stay with the two ahead. Whether Corluka can be used as a bit of a tow to get back up to the front two.
Yeah, I think if that's, you'd have to look at using that car there, especially to help with the draft. The overall, both the GTLM, GT3, very close together, and the big advantage with that GT3 and the brakes is going to be that ABS. You can see it pretty evident right now with Chesney closing right up as they make their way back up onto the oval banking. But the Mercedes in second out right there, looking really consistent, especially under brakes, seems to have a lot more pedal pressure available to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether he's been able to nail the bias on his car with the setup. We'll see whether he can make it into the bus stop. It looks as though that he's not quite close enough. But we'll have to look away from this battle, sadly, as we've got pretty much forecast line of stern in the GTE category at the moment. See that Harlow's had all sorts of pressure from Keeney at this time. But yeah, Keeney's not close enough at this time, but whether he can get up the inside into the international horseshoe. Harlow's pretty much on the defensive at the moment, so good to see from him. But yeah, this battle at the moment's 4 cars all within a second at the moment.
And the other thing I've been quite impressed with Keeney tonight is traditionally we've seen him in a Porsche, and seeing him in the Ferrari tonight doesn't really seem to phase him or phase his driving style either. He's still back up the sharp end, really taking it to Harlow here at the moment, and the guys behind Alberto and Bordogo just going to have to keep a good eye. They're probably in the best spot if something does happen to these two.
Yeah, absolutely. You certainly don't want to be too close, otherwise you can end up in the incident itself, and then you'll be taken out as well. So, yeah, that's the trade-off that you do make. Whether you stay in the slipstream and be close, try to overtake, or whether you stay back that little bit and just play it a little bit safe and be able to avoid the incidents. But yeah, not a great run from the Harlow that time around. That'll allow Keeney to try and go around the outside. It'll make a bit of a longer line as he's out of the slipstream.
Yeah, really impressed with how Keeney's able to flow the car through the bus stop. He picked up quite a good pace advantage there. Unfortunately, not able to quite make it as he tries looking down the low line as they cross the start-finish line. You not see a lot of guys down there, but he's really going to struggle to get this one past, especially into turn.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually very, very surprised to see the BMW leading at the moment, knowing that the Ferrari's been pretty much dominant in a straight line. See that Kenny got a good exit out of there on the traction zone, but unable to do anything about it with that BMW straight in front of him.
Yeah, if anything, just looking at the way these cars are sort of getting around the track, Harlow got very good initial turn in, but seems to drift a bit through the mid corner there, which really opens the door for Keeney. The nose in the Ferrari just seems to stick a bit better as we jump to the onboard now, but might sit on board here just for the lap and see how Keeney goes with it, and get the viewers, if they want, to turn up and have a good listen to the sound of this 458.
Yeah, one thing that we did notice as we were heading into turn 1 that Albert managed to get past Keeney. Was a bit of a poor exit out of the bus stop, which allowed Albert to jump through.
Yeah, and listening to the onboard there too with Keeney's car, almost sounded like he wasn't completely going through in the rev range there. Seemed to be dropping off a little bit, so potentially a little bit of a slowdown. Like, heard him lift right off towards the end there as the other two swung around into turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going to have a look back up the front at the moment in the DP category. this time. I see that Blake Nex opened out an 18-second lead over Malik Doy and Niels Harriman at the moment. This is the closest battle in the prototype category. See that Harriman's run just that little bit wide, but is able to get the cutback.
Yeah, and both guys overall, lap time is very consistent between them. Malik, last time by, only 0.2 of a second slower at 139.1, whereas Herman 138.9. So guys are very consistent. The lap times are very close and not really that far off what we've seen out of their best so far. Beckman, on the other hand, a little further back. Currently, where are we? 6 seconds down. So not great there. Maybe you can come up with a little bit of something special in the pit stop to help him out. But yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that. But these two up for second and third, certainly putting on a good show now.
Yeah, certainly. With the toe that Harriman's got, we'll see whether he can close up this lap. It's closing down to about half a second at the moment. 0.3. But yeah, it's sadly not able to do anything with it at this time. Oh, Doy's gone run. Oh, he's run a little bit wide, and that'll allow Harriman to close out. Last time around, they were virtually identical within a 100th of a second. So I see that we've got some GT3 traffic at the moment. The number 20 of Krisafi at the moment, who's getting a lap put on him at the moment by these front two.
Yeah, both of them able to get through pretty cleanly on Krisafi there, so not too bad at all. We'll have to keep an eye now, being well in the window for the guys to come in for pits. We've only had 3 cars at the moment, so Krisafi, Vormwald and Pinotti have come in. Also looks like we've got Brian Lockwood, who's come in and was previously leading GT3 class.
Yeah, we've got current leader at the moment of Marchesny. Oh, Marchesini, sorry. Yeah, he's pretty much been up the front, if not at the front, so it's good to see him. See that Charlie Moran's been able to close up as well, so that's been good to see. He's running very, very deep there and been able to pull it up. So
yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see now. Obviously, early on we saw too how good Andrea was on the brakes through turn 1 and just before they come out up onto the oval. So having that little bit of advantage with some clear track in mind, potentially able to get a move done on Lockwood later on after the stop. But it'll be interesting to see how he can do it with that fresh road up ahead of him.
yeah, certainly. Just going to see how these two fare through the bus stop here. But it looks as though that Moran's pretty much holding station at the moment. He got a fairly reasonable exit out of the bus stop there. See that Beckman in the prototype categories into the pit lane. See that Oliver Spees and Timo Kuha and Jose Miguel Fernandez Andrew at the moment has been able to move back up into the 8th position overall. But yeah, we'll see that there's a range of GT3s back in the pit lane, so it looks as though that the GT3 window is pretty much open. See that Pavlov has taken the lead in that category, but he hasn't stopped. Who's coincidentally just in front of the GT3 leader that has pitted. Yeah, having said that though, just looking back at Rossi and Cube at the moment, he's got Slav and Luca all over the back of him at the moment. Looks as though they're just going to go 2x2 at the moment through the start finish line onto lap number 16.
Yeah, these guys are a little further back off Spees and Beckman ahead of them, but haven't come in for their stops yet either. So not doing too badly pace out of them. Very consistent. I think we've seen them drop around a second, nearly a second and a half off their outright best so far, but consistency where they've stayed pretty good. And we saw Kaluka earlier on having to make his way back up through that GT3 category. Now that he's been able to clear that, should find himself in a pretty reasonable position at the end of the race.
Yeah, certainly. Just having a quick look back up at the front of the GTE field, we see that the prototype category is just making their way through. For those that have pitted and who haven't pitted, all of the front 5 GTE cars haven't pitted, but everyone else pretty much has that is on track. So then also you got a little bit of a group with that's behind Beckman that hasn't pitted as well, and Cube, Corluka and Borges at the moment as well. Those 3 haven't pitted.
Yeah, I'm quite interested to see what happened to Gorvan Keeney as well. We saw him right up earlier on, battling very hard with Harlow. He's dropped quite a long way back from the lead of this category down. Where are we here? Some nearly 10 seconds at the moment, so long way down from where he was. Still in a good battle with Igor just ahead of him there and the other Ferrari, but those guys are a long way back now from where we saw them previously.
Yeah, I'm just having a look in the event view at the moment that there was an overtake around 4 laps ago for Govan to get past Igor, and then they've been pretty much dicing for position over the last couple of laps as well. We'll see that where's the last time that it must have been when there might have been like some prototype traffic that was involved in this little bit of a separation between the front 2 GTEs and then this little group here.
Yeah, and unlike what you'd have traditionally with the 24 hours here, a lot shorter time frame to be able to get these cars back up into position. We're just coming up on 29 minutes through the race at the moment, so not a lot of time left for the guys to get these jobs done. Keeney, again, running the low line through turn 1, brings it actually into pits, so he's going to get this pit stop out of the way. Looks like Jackson Harlow's also in for his stop as well from the class lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeney was right on the edge of the adhesion of the tyre there, and manages to just pull it up, and great effort from him. He'll certainly be looking to gain as much time as he can and try and overtake Olgorod and Nikov. But yeah, just looking back at the second place driver at the moment, he's just come up on some GT3 traffic of Matt Arnold. He's got a 3-second gap or thereabouts to Albert at the moment, who's in the class lead as we stand at the moment. But having said that though, we'll see whether Albert pits this time. He's just coming around the banking now. And it looks as though he's going to continue on for another one. Oh, sorry, no, he's just coming in the bus stop. Just the camera angle that kind of threw me off.
Yeah, look, I'd expect we'd see him come in. There's only 3 drivers still in the race that haven't. So Albert's Orgodiv and Timo Carr. So those guys still need to come in for their final stops. Looks like Albert probably going to go around again. He would have saved quite a bit of fuel after that early battles with Keeney and Harlow being so close together on track. Being able to tuck into that draft would have helped him quite a bit.
Yeah, certainly. I'm just seeing whether I can get the track map quickly with number 4. And Keeney was number 7. There we go. See that Keeney's just coming around the start-finish line right now. And Ogorodnikov is coming around the exit of the pit lane right now. And it looks as though that Keeney, with that stellar braking performance in the pit lane, still hasn't managed to get past Ogorodnikov at the moment. So, yeah, sadly he doesn't find himself in the podium for the class at the moment. But, yeah, that was a stellar in lap there from Igor to hold on to that podium position.
Yeah, definitely. Both cars seem to be working quite well. I think, if anything, maybe Keeney's lost a little bit as the truck's starting to evolve, not quite being there. I would have thought having the slightly fresher, well, warmer tyres might have helped him close that gap up. But if he can stay in the draft, and at the moment not being as far or too far back should help him here, he should be able to get Igor pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. We see that Albert's into the pit lane as well. So just have a look at Harlow and see how he fares at the moment. See whether this is going to be any contest at the moment. See whether Harlow's able to get the lead back. I see that Albert's just out of the box right now. Looks as though that Albert's gained quite a lot, actually, and is already around turn 1. So that's a massive gain there for Albert.
Yeah, absolutely. The overall pit stop time, looking at it, was only 10.2 seconds stationary versus Harlow at 13. So he was able to get a little less fuel in the car, being a later stop. Hopefully he's got enough into it to get him home, but has that ability just to tweak those fuel trims to sort of help out where needed. But Harlow's going to have his work cut out for him here if he wants to get back up and take the class lead.
Yeah, certainly. Just looking back up the front, Blake Neck, stellar driver at the moment, putting in last lap of a 1 minute 38.3, which was 1.5 seconds quicker almost than Malay Doi last time around. So that super consistency's pretty much been 1.5 seconds a lap on average, and yeah, certainly been class of the field at this time.
Yeah, definitely. And pretty much every race we've gone to so far, we've caught Blake in it. We've kind of expected that from him, and he still continues to deliver. So it'll be interesting to see whether we can get someone in. Obviously, it's good to have the guys that have come in and run it tonight, but with the strength of Blake and what he's been able to do in this car, if we get some challenges out there to give him a run for his money, it'd make it certainly very interesting for him. Probably good viewing for us also, but take nothing away from the guys that's still out there. Doi and Harriman still putting on a good show for second and third.
Yeah, certainly. We've seen the class SOFs for tonight, around about 2.2 for the DP. So for those that are wanting to make the broadcast races each week, as long as you are able to make the DP category, you're pretty much guaranteed to get in the top split, barring, I think it's 12 cars, or 12 or 15 cars per split, or in each category. So, yeah, taking nothing away from the guys that have signed up today, as you said. But yeah, one way to make the top splits for sure is to be in the DP category. See that the average SOF tonight for the GTE is around about 3,600, so a nice range of strengths for each of the drivers in the GTE category, and then a little bit lower as well with the GT3 category. But certainly take nothing away from the guys that are certainly up the front with Lockwood, Morin and Marchesini at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, if we were to pick out a couple of names that are up here, look at the GT3 category: Lockwood, 4900 iRating, Marini 2500. There is a bit of a disparity there as far as overall iRating, but the guys have been able to go pretty close. Did have some good battling earlier on, which is what we want to see. And everyone says iRating is a lot of it, but racecraft's certainly the bigger factor out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the moment, the closest battle on the track at the moment for overall position is between Kuhar and Marchesini at the moment, but there won't be any class changes unless Kuhar is able to get up to Corluka, who is 12 seconds in front of him at this time. Still got about 8 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock, plus 1 lap.
Yeah, look, there are probably potential for a couple of positional changes, maybe in the GTE category. If anything, Spears not that far in ninth from Andre in 8th there, so potential for those guys to maybe have a swing. And yeah, as you say, Kaluka still about 2 seconds off the pace of Nkub, just in, where is he, 10th position. So we might get a couple of spots here and there, but nothing that would really change the outcome of the race finishing podium classes.
Yeah, certainly. Just looking at the closest battle in GTE at the moment. I'm going to see if I can find it, but it looks as though that the front 4 have opened up to roughly about a 4-second gap between each car. So from first position in GTE, it's opened out to its nearly a 13-second gap to Candy in 4th position. So, which is quite surprising actually, given that within the first 20 minutes of this race, they were all pretty much line astern. So whether each of them have had issues or whether it's just been the field strategy that's opened up this gap has certainly been one to watch throughout this race.
Yeah, definitely. And lap times still from these guys still looking quite good. Looking at what Blake's doing, he's the only car at the moment in the 38s. Malik and Herman back in the 39s. So when you look in the GTLM categories, most of the guys run in the 41 second, 42 second range. But good little battle here with Pavlov and Mead. Actually, Lewis, sorry. Good to see another Audi back out on track. We always look forward to seeing those cars out in the races, but these two will be the closest battle at the moment on track.
Yeah, certainly having a bit of a soft spot for the Audi with the being at the Blancpain GT last year in the Sim Racing Expo at Nürburgring, and then within the last couple of weeks at the Australian GT as well, at Barbagallo as well. Got to see a few of these cars out there, but also the Mercedes is well represented as well in both of those categories as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Audi in iRacing over recent seasons probably got a bit of a rap as not being overly friendly to drive or very difficult in its setup approach, but good to see it still being quite competitive, even if it is a little further down in the field, still being able to put on some great racing with cars around. Mercedes, whether it be GT, F1, whatever, they seem pretty dominant and on par at the moment for pace. So it's good to see these cars, balance of performance. It is a dirty word, but quite good at the moment for these guys to be able to battle as hard as they are.
Yeah, just going on board the Mercedes of Pavlov at the moment, see whether he can get close enough to the Audi ahead of Lewis. But it looks as though that Lewis is taking the defensive line, so Pavlov going deep under brakes, but is able to pull it up. He will have potentially got a slow down penalty there to run wide, but that gap's opened up to about a 0.6 of a second gap, so So, yeah, a bit of a mistake there for Pavlov, but hopefully he'll be able to recover within the next four and a bit minutes.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be too bad there. He should be able to get this one closed back down again. See him taking a really shallow entry into turn one does manage to shrink that gap. But it's interesting to see as they went through the bus stop there just how much wash was created in front, and the Mercedes there of Pavlov struggling to find the apex on the exit. As you say, running a little bit wide. So might keep an eye on this, see how they go next time by. About halfway around the circuit, well, near enough to halfway around the circuit at the moment. We'll see how they go.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll see that on Cube and Kaluk at the moment still pretty much neck and neck, about gap of about 0.7 of a second, as they are about to come across the start-finish line. Just make sure that I got the right camera angle and not call as though they're into the bus stop. But yeah, heading into turn one, gap closing to about 0.6, but yeah, opening back up under brakes. Kaluk having a bit of a drift there, but trying to close up. But last time around, actually, Kaluk was about 0.8 of a second quicker, so even though they had a, even though they pitted on the same lap, so whether it was just a small mistake for OnCube, we'll have to find out whether that pace is genuine or whether there might be a little bit of a technical issue there.
Yeah, I think looking at what we're seeing time by, there is likely to be the odd little bobble here and there, but overall the pace in these two cars especially is very close together. So if anything, I think might have just been a little bit of a bobble getting through potentially the bus stop or down off turn or into turn one there. So I don't think it'll affect him too much. Guys are about 2 minutes away now from the end of this one, but still fighting quite hard at the end of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Just having a look at Blake Neck right now. 2 minutes to go. It'll be 2 laps to go. As the lap times this time around was a 1 minute 38.1, so it's not. Well, Blake has the gap to slow down and create it to be 1 lap to go, but yeah, I don't think that iRacing will allow that, or the way that the calculations work for the average lap time. So I reckon it'll be 2 to go this as we stand.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be too bad. Pace of Blake should be able to knock that out pretty quickly. It looks like we've still got this battle here for Kaluka and Cube battling. These guys actually changed your position there. We missed that on the dive down into turn one there. So Cube still not wanting to give it up. He'll hang in there and look for another move potentially on the bus stop. See him close right in down here at the Southern Loop as they make their way up towards the re-entry back onto the oval.
Yeah, just going to have a quick replay of that as they are coming up, yeah, as you say, into turn one. It looks as though that Corluke is going to get around the outside and actually gets there even before the braking zone. So OnCube making a smart move there and a smart play to allow Corluke through. So yeah, we go back live. Just want to confirm that it is 1 to go this time by. And yes, it is. We've still got about 15 seconds left on the clock now. So yeah, it'll be 1 more lap to go for Blake Neck. This is that OnCube's pretty much right on the back of Corluka this time by. So coming up to the start-finish line to start their final laps.
Yeah, I don't see Kaluka making this easy for him at all. It's going to make him go the long way into turn one. So that's 1 corner down. Still got a few to go to hold this one off. And at the moment, doing what he needs to do. Look for him maybe to make some moves towards the middle of the track for this final lap, just to go a bit defensive and maintain that.
Yeah, certainly. Just going to have a look to see whether well, where Blake is at the moment relative to the GTE leaders at the moment. See that Albert at the moment is heading into the bus stop, and Blake is into the braking zone now. So some of the GTE leaders will be heading around for another lap, or as you see one of the GT3 cars in the wall. But yeah, Blake Neck pretty much the start of the show as always for round number 10 of the IMSA Sportscar Championship. Pretty much dominated this race. The 42-second gap is about to cross the start-finish line for his, I think, 10th round of the season in the broadcasted races for round number 10 of the IMSA Sportscar Championship. So congratulations to him. Looking at the GT3 category at the moment, because I think they're a little bit further up the road than GTEs. We've got Brian Lockwood currently leading at the moment in this category. Got 8-second gap to Charlie Moran. And Lockwood's been pretty much there or thereabouts throughout the field in this race for the GT3 category, and certainly hasn't put a foot wrong. Maybe a slight hiccup through the middle of the race, but certainly bounced back and finds himself in the prime position to take the win in the GT3 category. And congratulations to him. See that Suslin Harlow has been able to jump Julie Pros Albert. Not sure what's happened there, but Harlow hasn't taken the checkered flag yet. Whether that might have been a fuel issue for Albert. We'll see if we can go on board quickly. Yeah, it looks as though it's a fuel issue, as I see that's in very high gear at the moment.
Yeah, so that would have been attributed to part of that short stop undercut that we managed to see there. So wasn't quite able to stretch the legs on that Ferrari and get it home. But great drive from Harlow to bring that one home and take a class victory in the GTE category.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Harlow takes the GTE class win. I'd be very curious to find out what happens with Albert, whether he retains that second position in class due to the fact that he may, well, he actually has crossed the line now, so he will take second in the GTE category, and Ogorodnikov, apologies Igor, he will round out the podium in the GTE category. But yeah, that was a very, very entertaining race. Dan, what were your thoughts having seen the conclusion of that event tonight?
Yeah, look, I thought all in all, great participation from everyone. Obviously, Blake stand out again in the DPI. What more can we say there? Seems to nail it every week, rain, hail, or shine. So he's looking pretty much for the perfect season if he can get it done here in the next couple of weeks. Some great battling in GTE. Congratulations to Jackson Susan Harlow for the win there. Unfortunate to Julia Albert running out of fuel on that final lap, so a little bit of an underestimation there, but yeah, managed to bring that car home second. Igor, a great drive there. So Igor Keeney had an awesome battle. That gap extended out quite a way towards the back end of the race. And then from the GT3s, I mean, the guys put on a really solid show up until sort of that midway point. Yeah, Lockwood himself, Brian getting a great win. Marini and Machines putting a good job in there for the final podium in that position or that class as well. So I think all in all, the racing was well. The guys that were out there, lap traffic, certainly keeping a good eye on the mirrors. It's very easy to sort of lose that point of reference once you're up on the banking. And all in all, I think we saw some great racing all around.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to take you through the final race results here for round number 10 of the IMSA Sportscar Championship here at Daytona International Speedway. So Blake Neck takes the overall win, 42 seconds ahead of Malik Doy, who had a very, very solid battle with Niels Herriman throughout that race, only 1.6 seconds back of the second position to round out the podium. Jackson Susan Harlow wins in the GTE category and finishes 4th overall. Julia Pross Albert finishes in the 5th position overall and 2nd in class in the GTE, and then Igor Ogorod-Nikov in the 3rd position in class for the GTE category. Govan Kenny in 7th. Jose Andrew in the 8th position. Oliver Spies in 9th. Ross Ancube in running at the top 10 overall. Slaven Korluka in 11th position. Brian Lockwood takes the overall win in the GTE category. Sorry, GT3 category. My apologies. The 13th position goes to Timo Kuha. The 14th position and 2nd place in the GT3 category goes to Charlie Morin. Andrea Marchesini in the 15th position, Jose Borges in the 16th position, Luca Krasafi in the 17th position, and Gia Gogalashvili in 18th. George Lewis and Vlad Pavlov in the 19th and 20th position. They had a good battle throughout the race, but it looks as though that Lewis was able to hold on to that position. Matt Arnold finishes in the 21st position. Russell Mead in the 22nd position. Tobias Beckman finishes in the 23rd position. And retirees, Andrew Langham in 24th. Robert Vormold in the 25th position. Nico Puanti in the 26th position. And the 27th and 28th positions go to Kane Halliburton and John Billington. So just taking a look at the championship, see if I can bring up the schedule. Heading into next week, for the 21st of May, we've got Montreal. So looking at the race ahead, Daniel, what are your thoughts heading into the next round of the championship?
Yeah, well, for the next 2 races, we kind of go to almost street circuits with Montreal and Belle Isle. So it's going to be a pretty big mindset change for the drivers to get around at Montreal. We know some big braking opportunities there. Wall of Champions, as they make their way through that final chicane up onto the front straight, certainly probably a key to getting through the track as clean as possible. So it's going to take a little bit different mindset for the guys now, having come from what we've seen here at Daytona, moving into to almost basically street circuits for the next 2 rounds. I think, if anything, the racing's going to be a lot more intense. The passing, as the guys try and make their way through that slower lap traffic, certainly going to be a lot more critical and need to be a lot more precise in order to do so without having issues. So I think it's going to really start turning it on its head for now.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going to have a quick drive interview. You'll see that we've got the GT3 winner, Brian Lockwood. We'll see whether we can bring him up for a quick interview. I'll hand it over to you, Daniel.
G'day, Brian. Welcome to the Apex Racing commentary box, mate. Congratulations on round win in the GT3s tonight. Love to hear a bit of feedback from yourself with how you found the race and whether it was a tough one out there for you.
Yeah, thank you. Especially, man, that first stint was really tough. I had a couple of guys behind me following me second and third. We were all stuck together for a while, plus a couple GTEs coming through, sort of splitting us up at times. I think Andrea got an opportunity on me because of a GTE coming through. But thankfully, after the first stint during the pit stops, I was able to get a gap, and after that, it was just a matter of making it to the end.
Yeah, well, we noted quite early on the 3-car battles you were in looked very good, very entertaining. Did you find it difficult with the GTE cars coming through, trying to find those brake marks? And was there anyone in particular you sort of really aimed to get that overtake done, or were you looking forward to trying to get the pit stops done and then press on with a little more pace up?
Yeah, well, with the GTEs, there were, I think, 2 guys coming through that were both running just a little bit faster than we were. Once one of them got all the way in front, we tried to let him by in the straights, because in the corners, even though they are faster through the corners than us and slower on the straights. It loses us a lot of time, and it gives anyone else following an opportunity to pass if we let a GTE by in the corners. So I think both Andrea and I let that GTE by on the longer straights. Then I noticed I was getting a big run on a GTE, so I decided to dive into the pits a little early and not get held up at all, not risk getting held up at all.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move. We were actually watching some of the battle here with yourself and Moran, or Charlie Moran, with those guys coming through, and yeah, you guys had a really good battle with the overtake through turn one as those GTEs were getting through, and I think overall that early pit stop certainly played to the advantage with the car pace. But turn our attention now to Montreal. We'd like to see you back out on track for that one.
Yeah, we'll see. It depends on my team. Racecraft Engineering is focused on the Sports Car Open right now, and that's going to be the next race of that is the week of Montreal. So if I can find time to get some races in, I think I will, but definitely not the main focus next week.
No dramas. Well, again, yeah, congratulations on class win, mate. Before we let you go and enjoy the celebrations for the night, have you got anyone you'd like to give thanks to?
Yeah, thanks to my team, Racecraft Engineering, and our partners, the Racing Network. Kane Halliburton was also in this race, had some trouble early on. Big shame about that, but really glad I could take this win for us, and hopefully we'll have more in the future.
Fantastic, mate. Well, again, congratulations on the class win tonight, and look forward to potentially seeing you back out. If not Montreal, maybe in Bella.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Daniel.
And that was Brian Lockwood. For those might have missed that, just give us a bit of a recap on his class win in the GT3s tonight. Doesn't look like we got anyone else potentially coming up here, Scott, but might be a good opportunity to have a bit of a run through for some of the upcoming stuff here with.
Yeah, absolutely. Just got the schedule up at the moment. So coming up later tonight at 18 GMT, we've got the iRacing VRS GT Sport Sprint Championship at Monza for round number 10. And then following that, we'll be at VIR for the BSR MX5 Pro Series. That will be at 19:15 GMT. On Wednesday night, well, coincidentally tomorrow night, we'll be heading off to Interlagos for round number 4 of the Dynamics Sim Racers World GT Series. And that will be commencing at 1900 GMT. And then on Saturday, we'll be heading to Alton Park for round number 10 of the Euro V8 Supercar Championship. And that will be commencing at 18 GMT. So that's actually quite an exciting championship actually, and it's provided quite a lot of exciting racing, as has all the other championships so far. Also, we've got the Sim Racers Asia GTE series for round number 7 of the championship, and that will be at the Indianapolis Road course, which is another one of those fantastic tracks as well. That's provided lots of great racing over the past on iRacing, and also both in real life IndyCar and Formula One in the past. That will be at 12 GMT or 8 PM Australian Western Standard Time or 10 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time. On Monday we've got the BSR MX5 Monday Cup for round number 11 of the championship at Belle Isle. That will be at 19:15 GMT on Monday, and then we'll be back here for. Actually, no, apologies for that. We've got one more broadcast before I will announce the next round of the championship. But yeah, we've got the Untitled Chapter Championship for round number 2 of the championship at Snetterton, and that will be commencing at 12:15 AM GMT. So a bit of a late one for the guys that are broadcasting that, but I think that we've got American team in Tyler Maxson and just trying to think. I think Tyler Vickery as well. So those two guys will be broadcasting that for the channel as well. So some very, very exciting broadcasts coming up as well. But yeah, we'll be back for round number 11 of the championship for the IMSA Sportscar Championship here on Apex Racing TV, and that will be at Montreal. That will be at 10:45 a.m. GMT, same time as always next week. But yeah, just to wrap up, Dan, what were your thoughts, just quickly before we end up, of the racing here tonight?
Yeah, look, I thought, so as I said before, very good racing all around. Love to see a little bit more competition in that DPI category, and take nothing away from the guys that are up in there at the moment having a run. Be great to see them be up there, giving Blake a bit of a run for the money, and seeing a bit of a fight on at the end. I know Blake would be loving the gap that he's able to build, but I'm sure he'd equally love the opportunity for some good close racing. GTE and GT3, I mean, probably the standout racing of the night. Some great action in both fields, and good competitiveness from everyone out there. We touched on it a little bit there with the difference in iRating for some of the drivers out there, but the fact that there was such disparity in that really still brought on some great racing. So guys that were having a run, really good racecraft, and did well. So I think all in all, some people might think Daytona road's a little bit of a boring circuit, being it's a lot of high speed, but the few corners similar to probably Le Mans that are out there are still quite technical and still require a really good setup to get the cars through it. So for what the guys have been able to put on, first race of the week for IMSA here at Daytona, the guys have got a pretty good handle on it already.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly can't wait to be back next week at the same time, 10:45 a.m. GMT on Tuesday night. So I think that will pretty much wrap up the broadcast. So thanks very much, Dan, for co-commentating alongside me as always.
Yeah, no dramas at all, mate. Happy to do it and thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. Just about to close out the broadcast. So thanks very much, everyone, for tuning in. As I said, hopefully we'll be able to see you for one of the broadcasts, as I mentioned, that are upcoming throughout the week. But if not, yeah, we certainly hope to see you at the same time next week for round number 11 of the IMSA Sportscar Championship here, which will be at Montreal. But yeah, hopefully everyone have a safe weekend, and we look forward to catching you then.